Good evening. Welcome members of the public. Welcome to the live Facebook of Martin T.F. Wong with you for another edition to the information sharing about what's happening to, we all know, the the general election 15, which will be held this year at 2022. Amazing, right? When we thought the election is likely to be held next year, but it looks like it's going to be being held within 1 month from now. Really appreciate if you could share this video on our timeline while I'm doing a bit of sharing on my side in here. And we're going to start shortly, so get comfortable. Going to share with you what I think about likelihoods going to be happening, and also looking at some of the past GE15 and GE13, which I've experienced, have gone through it. After all, I've been in the market for more than 20 years. I've seen most of what I've seen in here before. And for those of you who are first time, I would like to welcome you. And if you're first time in the group in here, just type in 1. But usually we've been getting a lot of our regular members and also the members of the public. Feel free to ask any question if you have. I will try to my best to answer some of those questions that you have, and we shall get started right now. And of course, this live Facebook will also be recorded where you can watch it later on. Now, this is my disclaimer in here. All things that we talk about here are for education. Now, good evening. Welcome to the live Facebook of Martin T.F. Wong. And part of our October 2022 is the continuing education that we are doing for the public, and also to make sure that you're aware of the opportunity. No doubt we have seen the a bear market which continue to be no surprises. Those who've been following up, I've been talking about it since in the month of month of September. And September, if you look back on our VSA 360, our premier dashboard, we already indicated that has been one of the worst performing month of the entire last 6 years of KLSE. But now we do have an opportunity right now in here in the month of October. I'm going to share with you some of the further intakes that I have and how you can benefit from the GE15 in here. So let's look at some of the shares that we're going to be talking about and how we're going to be thinking likelihood to discuss likely the trading strategies that you're going to be in. All right. Now, don't do what we think in the past has happened both in the GE14 in 2018 and GE13 in 2013, that the market will go higher. I think at the end of the day, the economy does play into a role with it, but right now, get it while it's hot. All right, so let's take a look at what we have for you in here. And don't forget, if you're first time new, to subscribe to our YouTube, which is on the youtube.com/trade for all our video archive in here. And part of our finishing strong for the month of October, on the 19th of October, we are being talking about the general election. Of course, next week, my fellow trainee Zach is going to be talking about the theme and the focus for the 26th of October, so you can get a bit of his opinion on what he thinks about the GE15 in here. So let's take a look at usually what is the mind of many people, especially in the month of September. Of course, those of you, which I will already talk about in here, a lot been said about the rubber glove, and also early on I thought the rubber glove improvement on the ASP, but today a couple of reports came out on the analysts talking about the ASP prices still hasn't rebounded yet, and this time when we see a lot of the rubber glove stock really going up is due to the new variant XBB, which is happening especially this month of winter time. We have a new variant in here, so the COVID-19 new variant will probably cause some of the rubber glove stock. So the analysts again are telling people to take some money off, to cut loss, at least have some fun to recover where you are. And definitely this time the budget 2023 and follow on by the GE15, which is going to be happening in the month of November, will give you this opportunity to do so. Now, of course, bear in mind that it's a bear market in here. So what is the kind of strategy that you want to be looking? Do you want to buy and hold in here? But take note, there's also been talk about the recession 2023, which is looming in here, and also we got a couple of important dates, the US midterm election in here. But for most, what I've just said, according to the seasonality, the month of October will be a very interesting recovery month. After all, we did have almost an 8% drop on the KLCI for the month of September 2022 in here. So with this rally in here, this market might play a lot of catch up. After all, analysts is also talking about our KLCI market might close year end high at 1580. We are still almost another 2 more months to go towards the end of the year. A lot will be at stake if you have missed out or probably because the September month have driven you into a bear market and you've gone into the cave to hide. No doubt this month, October, would be the time for you to come back in. As we have seen, a lot of people are still staying away, and usually that's the case until where we see the market continue to be hot, then they will come back in here. Now tonight's sharing will be focused on GE15, what to know and likelihood, the impact on the KLSE, and also with references to historical past years, the GE14 and GE13, what is the impact and possible outcome in here, all right? And also we'll be talking about some of the benefit of focusing on the shorter term trading on those GE15 term in here, the kind of stocks we'll be talking about here. Some strategy I'll be discussing in trading the remaining of the year 2022 and 23. No doubt the fourth quarter is going to be volatility. After all, we did hit almost a year-end low. We went down to almost 11% lower than previous, and it hit around the so-called 1380. Right now the market rebounded back and breaking above the 1400 resistance has broke through in here over the last 3 days. And for those of you who are fan of the Pentagon Guider, let me just share with you, KLCI has already turned green Pentagon yesterday. That's right, yesterday on Tuesday evening in here, and continued to follow up. Now, if you've been following the Pentagon Guider, you will know that this is one of the early telltale signs that this market is turning up. So you can buy low in September and probably sell high in the coming month of November. Why? Because the October month is going to be turning into a bullish month, and then November, this is where you will see a bit of tapering off in terms of the market here. Using that as a timing here, you're able to follow some sort of smart money. Now, of course, our VSA 360 is one of the main feature that we talk about in here, and using some of the things that we will talk about, the visual trading plan, the reward to risk ratio, and also the stock alert and notification that will notify you in here rather than fairly just trading. Now let's look at some historical performances between the budget. You can see in here from the time where it changed to it's always been a positive movement, a 5% and a 5%. Though what that probably tells you is from the time of the budget to the election. But bear in mind, in the GE14 and GE13, the budget was in October, but the election was in May. So you have that, some sort of like a 5 months movement. That's why you see a 5% move and a 5.8% move. But this round, the budget to where we are, remember, budget was on the 7th of October, and then we got dissolved the parliament on the 10th. And usually I'm going to be giving you a couple of dates in here, less than 45 days from the announcement or the dissolvement of the parliament. Less than 45 days you will have election. I'm going to give you my pundit about those dates in here. Keep in mind, those are some timing for you to start planning how to trade this market. And guess what? Finally, last Wednesday, we were looking at the foreign fund flows, and then suddenly when the US market started to turn back up, forming that double bottom again, I have updated many of our members in here. So for those of you who just stay on to the podcast that I have on the Telegram, and you can find some of my updates in here. So right now, we are seeing a new trend right now for foreign funds inflow. Again, part of the VSA 360 looking back at 3 months, and you could definitely see, let me just switch to a laser pointer here, as far as when you see all this red outflow, which is the negative side, that means foreign funds are coming in. And if you notice, last round when we foreign funds started to come in, that's where the market started to break out. Will we see a new trend in here? I do think there is likelihood, because if the foreign funds do know something sometimes, when they do think the incumbent, the coalition or the current government will have a majority ruling on the GA15, then we'll see positive growth. But again, let's not talk about it. Let's look at the evidence that we presented to you in here. Now, let's take a look at where we are right now in the market. Now, of course, this is again from the VSA 360 plugin. You can also subscribe to it. And for those of you who did sign up in our 10/10 sales, thank you for your support in here. And right now you could see the green pentagon actually appeared. And that's what, if you notice, the minus 11%, this is from the peak value in here, is one of the worst of the worst we have seen. You got minus 10%. It's like a rubber band. When you pull it long enough, that rubber band is going to snap back up, and that's why we are seeing it. The longer you pull, the faster you snap back up. And you can see this last movement, that minus 10% produces a 8% up, so 11%. And if the market do move back up to what was the analyst talking about just now, year-end rally at 1580, so we are talking somewhere between at least a 8 to 10% movement from here onwards. It already started, all right, just on Tuesday. Now, if you're watching it or starting to, enable your trading account, you better do it fast. You better have those stock ready fast, because usually most people, by the time they discover those stock they wanted to buy, is already 1500, and it's already too late. And we see it time and time again. That's why we always say, you don't build a toilet when you wanted to go to the toilet. You build when you don't need to go to the toilet, okay? So I hope y'all got that lesson learned here. Now give me a couple of comments what I've said, and if you like what I've seen so far, give me a thumbs up, so we'll continue to produce good research work and good information sharing with everybody else in here. Also, so this market in here, the U-turn, it's coming, okay? So there's going to be a lot of snapback. Just keep in mind, already turned green pentagon for the KLCI in here. All right, the KLCI has turned green pentagon. So let's look at the GE15, your vote count. The magic number is 222. So on the polling date night, like you all remember, on the GE14 in 2018, I didn't sleep, and almost the whole Malaysia did not sleep, because they were waiting for the result until as close at 4 o'clock in the morning. So that number is 222. All right, but to form the government you need 112. So these are some of the basic you need to on the night, on the likelihood in the first week or maybe in the second week of November. You got to know your numbers in here, so just to give you back. But if you don't, you can always come back and watch this video again and give you update. The number to form minority is 112. Of course, if we have 2/3, then that will be the majority. You're talking about 2/3. Let me just get my calculator here, times 2222. You are talking about at least 148 seats, okay? But I doubt there is going to be a majority government to form in here. 112 is maybe a minority in here. Let me know what you think. Pencil those in there in too. All right. So if you look at it, leading to the general election 15, just parallel to the dissolvement of the parliament, which is on the 10th of October, we had the Barisan Nasional, and remember that before that, when we have the Prime Minister, I can't even remember the numbers, Muhyiddin, there was a vote on no confidence. It's because the numbers did broke up after the Sheraton move we had back in 2020, where Muhyiddin was Prime Minister for 16 months. With the Sheraton move, we have 10 MP hop on, but right now we have some anti-measure in here. But look at the numbers that the current government have under the I think it's the 9th or the 10th Prime Minister. I may get the numbers wrong here. under this Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri in here. He formed the BN about 40, Perikatan Nasional 39, PAS is inside there 70, GBS is Gabungan Parti Sarawak here, GRS is the Sabah one, then PNB, Parti Rakyat and Independent is 3. So some of the Muda went in here and started, the Bersatu went in here and started this. So if you look at here, on the opposition side is 104, so you can see 112, so 104. So just imagine the current government, if you lose 3 seats or 4 seats, right, finish it, tumpah, right, and then you're going to have a new government again. So the numbers are very, very crucial in here. So right now there are a couple of new factors that many of you may not aware that this election is pretty much new in here. It's going to be quite different from what we've seen in General Election 13 and General Election 14. For a start, this round we don't have the ex-Prime Minister Najib rallying, so there's always been talk whether he can come out and campaign or not. So there's still some argument on that part. We will see whether Najib comes out and campaign. But we have seen in the General Election 14, Najib was very popular, but yet he was able to be brought down in here. So let's look at the political party, and right now we have 9 parties, okay, combining the East Malaysia and Peninsula Malaysia. Of course, the main 3 one are Perikatan Nasional, which is under Muhyiddin. Then you have the BN under Ismail Yaakob, and then Anwar Ibrahim under Pakatan in here. So you can see from the existing current seats, now these are courtesy of Wikipedia, you can check it out from in here. You can see that's why the Perikatan Nasional and BN need to form together, but there may be some sort of internal conflict, so we just have to see how the numbers in here. So if you look at here, the easiest to be in, the fairly one is Pakatan Harapan in here, which actually need 21 seats. For Bersatu, the chance for it to form the majority government is going to be tough. They need 66. So it's either going to be the Barisan Nasional together with the parties from the Sabah and Sarawak. And then recently we have a new party called PBB, I think Parti Malaysia. Alright, this one is a new party, which is some of the leftover, I call it the leftover from the Muda in here, from the Bersatu in here, under Zuraida Kamarudin in here. And well, there's still a lawsuit, right, from the Pakatan Harapan. Then you have the Gerakan Tanah Air, a new party, which is actually formed, new coalition here under, there were a lot of smaller parties in here that really split the Malay vote. So if you are Malay, that's really a lot of party you can vote on. The GTA, the BN, the Perikatan, the Pakatan Harapan, and not to forget, if you're from the East Coast, you can also vote on the PAS. Then you have PSB, this is from the Sabah side in here, which is quite new. Then you have the Sabah and Sarawak that many of us East Malaysia don't know. For those of you who are listening from the East Malaysia, which is Sabah and Sarawak, probably know that Shafii used to be the Barisan. He was the chief minister, but when the Sheraton move came, he was removed, and then later on they appointed Haji Jino, which is actually from the he was a new Sabah minister. Then you have also the GPS group from the Sarawak, but they don't really form the government from the, because they are not in the business to rule the parliament of the West Malaysia. So these are pretty much taking care of their own country interests, especially a lot of resources which is found, timber, minerals, and also oil, right? These are a lot of oil in Sabah coast and also in Sarawak coast, and so they are not so much interested in ruling but those 3 parties that we saw, Perikatan, the Barisan Nasional, and Pakatan Harapan are so all in all, right now we have 9 big parties in here. So let's take a look at the possible outcome. What is likely to be the outcome that you hear in here? So majority government, as I said before, you need 148. So to form a majority government, you need 140, which is unlikely. You can see there is a big split this time. Minority government, yes, that is likelihood going to be in here. Minority government, where you just need 112 to form it. But do take note, because we have a lot of fighting in here, which they may not agree yet, not until tomorrow. Tomorrow they will announce when is the election. So they'll probably have about 3 weeks to do polling, and then they're going to gang up. So that would lead to where what we're likely to see is a hang parliament. So when you get a hang parliament, is that there's no majority big winner in here, because they're quite a big faction in here. PAS is going to split up from BN, or PAS is going to split up from Perikatan. We still don't know yet. Things are still very, very liquid. We will see what's going to be interesting. So that's why we said before, this GE15 will be thing. So the two possible outcome is either going to be, of course, the stock market will definitely rally when the incumbent party form the minority. But if the incumbent party become a hang parliament, that's where you will see a lot of uncertainty. So the day after, when the polling dates complete, the next day when we go back to normal, that's where you see a lot of whipsaw. Either the market gap up or gap down will be the hang parliament. But if you get what we call this minority government in here, that is going to be a sweet spot in here. You will see the market rally. So what do you think? Let me know and pencil. Do you think that we will get a minority government or we get a hang parliament? Giving me in your comment. I'd like to hear what you all think in here, because this is going to be so-called the essence of where we are going in here. Let me know what you think about it. Now, going into the GE13, let's talk about the stock market, where the Barisan Nasional win in here, and they form almost a very solid government under Najib in here. That was also the time of the 1MDB, which we all didn't know. So you can see when the market was announced, sometimes that usually the market will pull back, and that's what we saw too when the market announced on the 10th. Remember, on the 10th, the market actually collapsed a bit. So this is also a very similar move, and usually why we say is because this movement is foreign funds who don't like, hey, election is coming, they generally leave the markets. That's why the market pull back down in here, and then later on, a couple of days, right, the market will start to rally. All right, but take note, this was, you have 2 months from the 8th of March to 5th of May. You have 2 months, and then the market rally. So are we seeing that right now? Because we only probably going to have 1 month. We're not going to have 2 months, because in December is going to be maybe some sort of the monsoons, right, in the year end and holiday season and the Christmas period in here. So that's going to be, we're not going to have that. So you can see the market actually rally about 4%. Now you can see just now from the chart I've mentioned, there is a potential upside about 8% movement out there. And do take note, so far our market is already down 11-12%. It's not going to be down for 11-12%. So a lot of stocks is going to play catch up. This is a time where I said before, where you have those rubber glove stock, it's time to get rid of them. All right, at least maybe don't sell all of them, sell 10%, sell 20%, get some of this and pile on some of those stocks that you see that Green Pentagon has potential for you to move up. You get the picture? All right, if you get the picture, give me a thumbs up, because that's the whole idea, what I'm sharing with you here. A lot of upside. Then after the election comes out, and depending who wins, the market will generally just sort of move sideways and follow the regional or the global trend. All right, so that's one thing. Now, I just want to show you what has happened in here. If you compare that to the US market, at the same time, when the market was up 4.5%, you know, they were hotter. But the US market was up 3.6%. And when the market when the market actually sort of over, that was the peak. That was around 1800. Our KLSE has 180. Just imagine right now, we are just at 140. We are still 400 points below where we are in here. And if you look back, US also hit the Dow Jones was 1560, right? But Dow Jones now is about 30,000. It really has gone up since 2018 here onwards. 2013 onwards. Now let's take a look at GE14, the last general election that we have. We have the announcement on the 7th of April, very similar to what we are getting in here. And then within 1 month and 2 days, or give and take, 9th of May, we had the polling dates with the election in here. And of course, we all know, right, in the G14, a big surprises that we have never seen before. The UMNO, or the Barisan Nasional, first time loses its ground and lost that majority stronghold onto the government, as such that you saw this market really tank, because a lot of the cronies, a lot of the big institutional who have bets on those companies all just go down the drain. But again, you notice market instead of rallying, it actually went up, and then the market pulled back, hit 1900. That was the eventual high. Now we almost 500 point down. And since the Pakatan Harapan, if you can say it from a stock market standpoint, we didn't have a good day since the last election, GE15, when the market hit 1900. And of course, during the month between the dissolve of the parliament to the polling date, the date was down 2.7%. But when the market is all over, we know Pakatan Harapan on, and they was like talking whether this is going to be the revenge government or is going to be looking for all the cronies and all the corruption in here. The market didn't take like it. It's down almost 8% in here. But if you notice from the US Dow Jones, the market relatively unchanged, and then it did move higher. So that all being said, if the market want to go down, it will go down, and this is why this is because it is a very local domestic event that's happening in here. But if it's very positive, if the incumbent won, let's say in this GE15 and US market were to go higher, you can see our KLSE market will definitely go higher or pan out. So I hope that sort of paint out the scenario where we're going at. Now the $62,000 question or the 2 million ringgit question is, who is going to win? Who will form the majority government, or in this case a minority government, or it's going to be a hang parliament? Your bet is as good as anybody bet in here. Now, so in short, the US market has limited influence directly to KLCI after the GE15 because we are still dependent on the local geopolitical risk. Who is going to be the new prime minister? Is it going to be Ismail Sabri or is it going to be Anwar? I really don't know. All right, are they going to be a deputy prime minister in here, which now we don't have that, right? Because the deputy prime minister will be out there to gang his knife and going after the prime minister. So it's going to be incumbent versus opposition. And then if we get a hang parliament where we don't have a majority, we couldn't reach a majority, there will be a delay of the government formation, and that's going to put a lot of risk in here. And foreign funds flow, whether the geopolitical is going to be flowing out. So a lot of local economic catalysts and policy matters in here. But at the same time, in the 8th of November, we also have the midterm election. Now take note of the date, is 8th of November. It's a midterm election, and usually in US, traditionally we do see market rally after the midterm in here, and it has been said that the Republican is likely to take back the House, the Congress in here, and you're going to get a lot of impeachment of Joe Biden, and it's going to be very interesting to see how US is going to be pan out. The Russian-Ukraine war will definitely stops because also when the House is taken back by the Republican, they're going to be putting some stop the funding of the weapons that have been given to Ukraine. So that's going to be interesting to see whether the inflation is going to continue, because a lot of inflation is actually caused by the Russian and Ukraine war. So the month of November is certainly going to be very interesting, and if you are a market watcher, at least I do give you some sort of a heads up as you get into the month of November and year end here. All right. So let's look at some of the likelihood of the GE15 date before we get down to those individual stocks in here. All right. So we have the 10th of October, the 20th of October, which is actually tomorrow. We expect maybe either 20 or 21st. We expect the EC to make the announcement of the election day. All right, you're going to make the announcement of the election day. So whether is the election is going to be very when it's going to be. So my date, following the past history of the GE14 and GE13, it's going to be on the 8th and 10th of November. All right, on the 8th and 10th of November, that will be the earliest date. All right, that will be the earliest date that we have. Will we get 2 months like what we saw in GE13? Unlikely, because of the monsoon in here. So you will have this date. So that's why I talk about 8th of November. Also happen to be the November midterm election. So you're going to have two sides, and it's going to be like watching two movies together, the US midterm election and also a midterm election. Probably for me, I'm going to have two TVs watching on in here. So let me know what is it going to be. So for those of you who have a weak heart, maybe it's time for you to take a good holiday, especially in the first week of November. And I do know many of you are starting to travel already as the dates are coming in soon. So why is the general election 15 outcome result is very interesting? Now take note of the 222, 112 required for majority, because there is actually a four-way battle between them, right? We got Pakatan. This is for the majority of the wing. Of course, the Pakatan GPS and also the Sabah and so on, pretty much determined in there. There's not much you can go over the influence in here. Then the voting will be more accessible. There will be postal voting, although this won't occur so much. But the extra vote of voting, extra hour, I heard that there's going to be one extra hour of voting. So would that tally in? And it's very important. Back in GE15, one of the reasons why Pakatan won was because the high turnout, more than 75% turnout in here. So that high turnout will probably benefit Pakatan Harapan. And next is also the anti-hopping party law effective. Now we saw the Sheraton move really broke up the current Pakatan Harapan, which was only there for less than 2 years or less than about 16 months in here. So the anti-hopping party, so now party, the individual cannot hop, but the party can hop. Alright, so keep in mind, they can form the government in here. And also is Undi 18, okay? Undi 18, where we have those 18 years previously who cannot vote, now can vote. And remember, these youth 18 think very differently. They may not be part and parcel of those old school of thinking here. Be interesting to see the statistic that's coming out. What are the 18? Because they form 27% of our 21 million voters. Now take note, Malaysia has about 32, coming to 34 million, right? So almost 60% of Malaysians are voters, but we have 27% form the youth, which previously they were not, right? They're estimated about 5.8 million. So this is going to have a very interesting outcome, that who is going to, so it's not necessarily sure that Barisan Nasional is going to be in. So this is where, and this time, unlike when the previous government that we had Najib, where money was given out there, I would think there's going to be less money in there. So let me know what you think so far on the GE15 with this outcome that you have. Now, having said that, last week we're going to start looking in some shares in here. Last week we started to talk about those budget 2023, and we have seen the KLCI since then has moved 2.5%, 1 week 2.5%, right from where we are. And remember, we got this nice swing of 8% to go back up again. So the consumer definitely, as the economy is reopening in here, done pretty well. Since we were talking about those stocks, B Auto was up 2.6%. FFB, a Farm Fresh, which is a milk manufacturer, up 5.7%. Some benefiting also from the car and also rebound back in the plantation. Remember, CPO prices broke back to 4,100 in here, and also MBMB, a car, 1.5%, and Mr. DIY 2%. Those who didn't do so well are more on the infrastructures, the telco, energy, and construction. Gambunda actually dropped 6%. They were anticipating, Gambunda would do better because of the budget 2023 coming up with more major projects, but it looks like the last one was MRT3. There's not really big project coming in, and that's why. So this is where those of you who have construction, you want to tilt that. Maybe the energy sectors a lot, but the telco 5G yet to be seen. You might just want to wait for the green pentagon before we do any of that. Now, if you look at the chart in here, this is from our VSA 360 of the plug-in. Mr. DIY here has actually reached a low. No doubt the trend is still down. You can see the railway track, but certainly one of them, MBMR, the Perodua, has started to turn up already, just like B Auto. Farm Fresh started to kick up in here. Last week we were down at 157. Perhaps someone listened to it, started to buy in here. The market kicking back. B Auto continued to be the uptrend. So if you look back, MBMB, which is a Bursa, may follow the trend of B Auto in here. OCK seems to be hitting a resistance, forming a double top here. Already turned red pentagon. As such that Dayang also hit at 120 resistance, turned red pentagon in here. Market holding up in here. Will it turn? That's all going to depend how much is the oil prices maintaining in here. OPEC did cut some of the oil production in here, but just today the US has released 15 million barrels of reserve, but that's recently a drop in the sea because oil prices during the winter time actually it seems to be high in here. And then Gamuda, maybe due to the lack of the infrastructure project in here, nothing to shout about. So all in all, some of the stocks that you buy, you still need to follow those sectors in here because that's the way to go forward in here. Now this is a list also from the Edge. You can see in here, you can take a snapshot of this one, right? There are many of this what we call the political link investor, and then usually I'll just talk about trading in here. You got some of these are mix of the old Pakatan Harapan like Advanced Synergy and MUI. In my opinion, they don't really matter a lot. I think the influence of Anwar in there is just not, it's just that the media and people talk about it. It's just that most of these are just dot line inside there. Whether they influence or not, they really don't. And also take note, many of these stocks are all penny stocks. And usually in our VSA syllabus, you want to buy anything above the 45 and 50 cents. You can see all last price. You know, many of these are below 50 cents. So once they're below 50 cents, the volatility is definitely there in here. You can see all this, only CI holding. I suppose that's the one that is respectable and really strong in terms of it. But then volume are generally low. MYEG was the one that is providing many of it. MYEG was previously above $1, but since then has dipped below in here. Now in our VSA 360, many of you may be familiar. We have our UMNO watches. I'm going to just bring out this list that I have here. Let me just get down here. All right, and it's going to show you the VSA 360. So this is the VSA 360 that we have, and once you are logged into a VSA 360, you can go over to our watch list, right? You can see here is the UMNO watches. This is the list that you have, and once you get in there, this is the whole list that we set up to you in here. So you can see it's kind of mixed. Modern up 11%, but take note, some of these stocks are only 4 cents, and this one is 38 cents, not so bad. Data prep is 17 cents, and this is 10 cents. So the big movement, minimum movement also 5% a day. All right, take note of it. This one is 31 cents. Petra is 64 cents. George Ken is 50 cents. CI Holding is the more respectable, and CI Holding is actually pretty nice. Excel Force, okay, and KUB, CMSB. So these are the lists. But I want to draw your attention now to more of this list tonight. We got a couple of new ones. Molten and George Ken, which actually turned green Pentagon already. So those are the one that you want to, keep an eye on it, right? Data prep, this turned green Pentagon on the 19, just turned green Pentagon in here. Of course, we're going to be looking at this and Molten in here shortly. So you can just build this up. All right, so these are so-called the UMNO watches, which actually telling you can see all this started to turn green already, right? CI Holding, it just turned on the 11, so you can click on this. That will actually takes you and tell you some of these stocks started to move up. You can see CI Holding came from a low base, and this today is up almost 2.9%. It has a 1% good reverse ratio, but if you look back to the last 6 months, this is where, because it's around $2 in here, this will be one of the safest stock to buy. And guess what? It's rated 6 out of 8, so which is actually also good too. 6 out of 8 on the Smart Robie rating will be something very good in here. We'll be looking some of these in here, but I just want to draw you VSA 360 provide that fundamental approach, looking it from a fundamental, giving you the signal on the live data in here, as well as the thing, something that traders are dying for, and this is some of the edge that you need, especially in this GE15. If you don't have VSA 360, we do recommend for you to get it in here, and this is where you will definitely benefit from the signals and the indicator that you'll be getting in here. So you can see from the part already turned green Pentagon, so it allows you to go in and getting it 6. That's one of the example in here we will look at, but unfortunately MYEG has turned red Pentagon. Maybe you want to wait for that green Pentagon in here. Let's take a look. Another example in here will be Molten. So you can see Molten already turned green Pentagon finally, but judging from a 6-month view standpoint, you have a 1.7 in here at 44 cents. Today movement was up 11%. Big move already. And then you have George Ken. Let's take a look at George Ken also. Molten. George Ken is up 3%. So all these fellas switched to a 6-month chart, all started to move up. You can see the next profit target is in here. Turn green Pentagon, it pops back up again. Hey, George Ken, But again, this one is construction. If you don't like construction, you may want to stay up. But again, many of these stocks just move simply because of the tied up to the election. Data prep has also moved up. You can see from here. Right, this one has a 5-to-1 risk-reward ratio, and this is partly because you can see the old high at 22 cents. This is a good pump, really right at the bottom. So if the market were to swing up like what we said before, a lot of these stocks has a lot of potential in here. So just those are some of the stocks which is very good to actually look at. But remember, more general election anomalies are turning green Pentagon, and when you have this watch list, what more can a trader want? So get your VSA 360 right now to see some of these stocks are turning green. Now also from our VSA 360, you can see here the market. Okay, let me just go on to just show you here to the dashboard. You can see the market right now, seasonality are turning green Pentagon here. All right, let me just blow it up in here. So you can see right now it's minus 9%. Now back in all the year average, right, we never had a minus 9% in here. Now if the incumbent were to win, this is definitely going to rally. You can see the last September that was the biggest drop in here, but right now month of October it's going to be positive. Watch this number grow day by day. As I said before, we have another 8% move up in here, and if that comes through in here, this market's going to go up. Not that I didn't tell you, right? The question is, what are you going to do about it? For most people, I think they're just going to sit about it and wait for it. But I think if you are a smart trader or a person who will take opportunity, like what I've said before in here, you will take some action in here. All right, so those are the things in here. You can see that was yesterday minus 10%, and right now it's moving, it's recovering, as I said before, as the day go on and on. So potential, lots of upside from here onwards. Now let's look at the popular GE15 stock in the 15 stock team of 15, but more in VSA 360 I show you before, MYEG. But let's take a look at a blast from the past, how well they fare previously from GE13 and GE14. If you look at GE14, the market actually dipped down, but when the incumbent party lost, you can see MYEG lost 54% in here. With the exception of Datasonic, it's up 15% after the election, but eventually still drop back down. So that's why we talk about, remember, short-term profit. If you get that 10%, 15%, take it. Don't worry about doing something else, okay? Take it. And you can see Destiny also dropped by 31% in here after GE14. And CMSB, which is Chaya Mata Sarawak, also dropped too because they lost a lot of project in here, also dropped 26% in here. MRCB also dropped 15%. So if the incumbent were to not become the minority government, then you'll see some of these numbers going to be dropping, right? And if it's a hang parliament, it's going to be first time in history, and we do not know how the market's going to react. It's going to be maybe gap up and gap down, gap up and gap down in here. So let's look at GE13. If a scenario for GE15 where the incumbent won, a Bursa National won in here, then you see MRCB actually went up by 14%, and this went up also. These charts haven't updated. I apologize for that. There was supposed to be update for this chart in here. You can see MYEG, CMSB went up by 15% and MRCB went up by 14%. This chart was still from the old one that I have. I forgot to paste them in. My apologies. MYEG went up by 25%, but of course the market continued to go higher, and in 2013, as I said before, the US market was rallying. A lot of this stock was also rallying. Destiny went up by 13% in here, right, as the market was going higher. And these are some of the current lists that we have. So all in all, just take note, it was added in by Edge in here. So my point is very simple in here. If the incumbent lost, you all know the market's going to drop. everything's going to drop. If the incumbent win, everything's going to rally, but it's going to rally and eventually it'll follow the overall market. All right, and then from the looks of it, most of the time the market may just rally up, quickly hit its point and then come back down only. So my point is, do that short-term trading. All right. Now this list is something new. I think it's only Pekka and Fajar Group and Matang. Matang is less than 7 cents, so it's pretty volatile. Fajar is 30 cents, so again volatile. Pekka Group is pretty good, 80 cents. Star Media 30 cents, also very volatile. Datasonic just 50 cents, maybe volatile too. So a lot of these stocks generally are in the area of what we call quite illiquid. You can see this market cap, we need 200 million. Market cap 200 million. Market cap 200 million. So it's 200 million small cap. Can turn overnight one, cannot get out one. Alright, so keep in mind. That's what some of the stocks we talk about there, those are bigger options in here. So in short, I'm just going to give you my 2 cents takeaway. Main party won, all UMNO stocks will rise. Main party losses, all UMNO watches is going to fall in there. Don't hold over the GE15, the polling date. Okay, don't hold over the GE15. So let's say a day or two before the polling date, close your trade. Take smaller profit. You need to exit when you see sign of weakness or red pentagon necessary, because right now, tomorrow, you see the market rally one, because that's where they're going to announce the date, right? So we got up to November. So just trade with it short term, go for your intraday trade, and also join me on the breakfast show on Friday at 10:15 for a lot of the VSA 360 intraday trade. Those are some strategy we're going to continue from there onwards in here. Right, so we 360, just now I did share with you some of the stocks that we talk about in here. Data Prep and George Ken. Use those reward to risk. Generally you're gonna have 2 to 1 risk reward ratio in here. Let's take a look at some of those. George Ken have 267 to 1. All right, this is above the 47 cents. Not too bad, but it's not the perfect construction that we are talking about in here. So this is just going to be a trade here. George Ken, nice reward ratio, can be in my list here. Molten 1.57 in here. All right, started to move up here to 44 cents. CI Holding is the best of the fundamental I have to say. Fundamental, we can see only 6k only, but the problem is liquidity, no liquidity. See Molten here about 200k, not too bad. George Ken has 88k of volume. CMSB has 2.2 million, and this one has 1.57, so not too bad. Can you go for those kind of. Turn Green Pentagon 4 out of 8 in here. And let's take a look. Hibiscus has hit S1 already. Let's look at some of the others. Maybe we can look at we've got 2 George Ken here. We got Star. Okay, let's take a look at Star. All right, Star is also very small, only 104k. If you go back to the 6-month deal, it already broke up. You can see here, broke through this after Green Pentagon, broke through it, but kind of get in at the first Green Pentagon. That would be your best take in here. But this is just 1-to-1, not the best reward to risk. So again, the VSA 360 reward to risk does give you, especially if you are a beginner, this is something that you want to get hold of it, this wonderful software in here. Now in part of our education for 20-day trading challenge that we did in June, we actually trained some of our members to be the best for 28%. Eric Kitco making 20. This is in 1 month, okay, and also Zenly. So beginning this November 2022, we are doing our 100-day trade VSA orientation. Again, this will help many of you who is struggling to make money in the market. Now we're going to go through a process in here where the onboarding experience is going to be shared with the coach, where we're going through you for the next 3 months to get you up into speed to make sure you will make money if we're going to see that market rally. I know some of our members, because of the September month where the market crashed and you have this upset, but don't let that bother you that much. I think more importantly is to being in the market, stay in it. It's like a long distance running. Many of you will know, if you run your 5k and your 10k, you got to pace yourself. But a lot of people, when they come in, they quickly trade. They will sprint maybe for the first 1 kilometer, and the next 4 or even 10 or half marathon, maybe the next 10 kilometers, they lose their breath. They're not trained. So our 100-day trade VSA on board orientation is to groom you, train you, how you want to pace yourself. We are here for you. So starting November 2022, this is where you can join our onboarding, no charge at all in here, but you have to be a member of our plugin and a member of VSA 360. So take note of this one in here. All right. Then once we see good result, then you want to start doing with paper trading, with real money trading, and getting it right using a lot of reward and risk tool in here. Have someone like a coach watching over you. I think that's one of the lessons is a lot of people don't do well in the market is because they try many things, but not having the proper technique and more important, the right tools. We believe we can make a difference in here. So allocate your trading funds, as I said before in here. Lots of opportunity, lots of green pentagon is already coming in here. Our masterclass, which we are doing in the coming November, will be another consideration for you to up your skill. So in summary in here, in this market that you see, if you need to cut loss, have some cash available in there, focus on those GE15 stocks which I talked. There's a whole list of them. Go over the VSA 360 UMNO watches and you get it. Unload those dead wood lock stock and focus on the shorter time in here. Remember, when you have that green pentagon with the alert, it will come and notify you. You don't have to chase them over and over again, as many of our members may have foreseen in here. So remember, year end, the bear market is already, we have been talking about the inflation, the interest rate rise, but right now we do see the US market has bottomed up, and a lot of signs which are updated you on our morning podcast are showing you that this market is bottomed up and the market is turning. So the question is, are you ready to take into the market for the shorter term? We are not talking about buying and hold until the rest of the year, just that short term, make back some of the losses you make and recover. That's like a bit of running, you know, you do some running, you rest for a while, now you pick up your pace, pick up your speed, and we are here for you in here. So with that, we would like to invite you to our November intake in here for 1 year membership, for 12-month software membership. We go through these classes that we run in module, Foundation 1, Foundation 2, US markets, pullback and trading portfolio. With this is advanced pullback that we're doing a full day course in here, and for you to really put you up into the next level in here. And then another futures, remember CPO prices are going higher, right? Day by day, 100 points, 2,500 ringgit one day. That kind of big move in here. We're not capturing 2,500. We want to capture a few hundred ringgit in there. Is it possible? Yes, and this is where we're going to share with you some of our discretion Pentagon guided strategy that's going to put you up into speed and able to make that regular income if you're looking for in here. So unlike others, our membership many benefits in here, where we talk about US stock, the CPO prices, all through our Pentagon guided system in here. And after all, we invented it and we patented it using the work of volume spread analysis from Mr. Tom Williams in here. All right. So great review. Continue on in here. So if you are ready, you can sign up for our VSA 360 and also our plugin will give you that first mover advantages in here. And that comes to the last conclusion of my presentation in here. And don't forget to share that Telegram chat room in here. And if you have any questions that you want me to talk about in here, I'm happy to answer them. But VSA 360 have all the necessary tools to put you up into speed with the alert, with the email notification in here, and the training that we are going to be doing in November. The next 100-day onboarding orientation will put you up into the speed for that one. All right. So with that, I bid you a fair good night and thank you for coming. I'll see you on Friday in our breakfast show at 10:15. And don't forget, some of those stocks I talked about in here last week from Budget 2023 started to make up a lot of upside to go. The question is, don't get stuck on your old share, get rid of them and move on to these new stocks and have a shorter profit target in here. Some of the things we talk about will certainly work if you have a plan. Thank you for coming and thank you. And may you do well in this GE15. It's going to be here within a month.